And go.
Hey, it's Jerry today coming to you from Guanacaste, Costa Rica, the Rythmia Life Advancement Center. We're a life advancement center unlike no other one in the world. We use ayahuasca, meditation, breath work, farm-to-table food, metaphysical teachings, and much, much more to bring about a soul merger or a soul reclamation. 17,000 plus people have been through this program. Our board of directors consists of amazing folks who went through this program and it changed their life so much, impacted their life so much that they wanted to join the board. Who's on our board of directors? The world's greatest surfer, Kelly Slater. Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, who was here on this broadcast 2 weeks ago. Martin Luther King's son, his son Martin, civil rights leader. Michael Bernard Beckwith, the founder of the Agape Spiritual Center. Ron White, the comedian. Frank Biden, the brother of Joe Biden. Earl Koski, the businessman. Tony Coe, the businessman, and many more are on our board. This place is amazing. How do I know? Well, when you check out, you get a electronic survey. To date, 98.85% of all the people who've gone through it, that's 988 out of every 1,000, say they had a life-changing miracle during their stay. The better statistic is at the 6-month mark, 90.22% say that this was the week that changed their life. And, you know, that's just the board of directors. We get so many people who are actors, actresses, billionaires, a ton of musicians, a lot of professional athletes that you would know. And the thing that they come here for is this soul merger. And then we get people who are ordinary people, just like you and me, that come here. But this is a hard week's work. This is not easy. This is a super hard week's work, but the results are absolutely incredible. Now, these are called, this broadcast is called post-merger action items. It's number 4. And what we talk about is when these folks come here and they have this soul merger, they all, and when I say all, the high 90s of percentiles, decide that they want to become a beneficial presence on the planet. Now, how do they do that? A lot of them become healers. You know, a lot of them become energy workers. A lot of them stick to their job in investment banking, but do it in a different way. Some of our teachers stay as teachers, but they bring a newfound unity to the classroom. So this thing, what I'm saying is there's a million ways that you can become a beneficial presence. What I will say is the bigger way in which you want to do that in the planet, the harder it is, but the more yield it gives. So I was a lucky kid in so much as without a high school diploma, I became a millionaire in my 20s, a multimillionaire in my 30s. I sold a company when I was 43 for $90 million. So I've had an ability to manifest in life. After I had this event happen in my life, the event of Rythmia, and I saw things in a different way, I actually could go backwards and see the steps that were taken to make manifestation happen. And then I had ceremonies where it was detailed out for me. There's steps to make this manifestation of your becoming a beneficial presence on the planet in this life. Now, what are some of the earmarks of this thing? Number one, once you decide to become a beneficial presence, it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. Hardest thing you've ever done. It's going to take longer than you could ever imagine. And it's going to yield more fruit than you could possibly count. And I mean fruit in the way of like the energy of success, which is currency, I also mean it though in a feeling of wholeness and contentment, because you've built something where you're a part of this structure that's bigger than yourself, and it really feels like you're involved, and it's hitting all the contentment buttons. That's what we're talking about. That's why so many people come to Rythmia. People from all walks of life, a ton of billionaires, tons of people come here to have this thing happen. Now, we're living in the information age. We know the things that work as far as like what makes success, about goal setting, about writing things down. There's all kinds of data. There's a 70-year-old study, not 70 because we're in the 70s. Yeah, there's a 50-year-old study from Harvard about the value of writing things down. We know all this stuff. We know it. But to put it together into one method of being is the key. And I continuously go over what that is. What are the steps to do it? Today, I'm going to talk about the attributes. What are the attributes of the people that make it? Because there are these two super evident attributes that are in the highest percentile of people who make it, who actually decide how they're going to become a beneficial presence and go do it. The Michael Beckwiths of the world, the Ron Whites of the world, the Cesar Millans of the world, the Jack Canfield's on our board, the Jack Canfields of the world. They all have this composition. And what is it? It's two things. It's grit and a positive attitude. So people for years have debated about what the value of positive attitude, but now there's enough data on it that it's no longer a debate. We know that the person who has a positive attitude, who's expecting things to work out, does better than people who don't. The one study that found the biggest ingredient to success amongst all others, more than a positive mental attitude, is grit. What is grit? Grit is the ability to stick to something when everything around you is saying to give up. Grit is that boxer who's in the 9th round of a 10-round fight, and he's been beaten so badly he can barely stand up, but he fights through and wins the fight. That's grit. Of all my friends who are super successful, you can see the grit in their face. It's a thing. Now, there are certain things in the composition that give way to grit. So if I have had a soul merger, if I had a soul merger and I pick my way of being a beneficial presence on the planet from a super centered place in me, I will have more grit to it than if I pick it from a superficial place. So if I pick the way that I want to be a beneficial presence on the planet because I want to impress my neighbor or my mom or my uncle, or I want to show up the guy who lives down the street, or because I want a BMW, or whatever the thing is, if I pick it from a superficial place, I'm not going to have much grit around it, which means when I face obstacles that look that they're untenable, I'm going to give up and pick something else. And here's the thing that the math and the data has taught us. You want to be in startup the least amount of times. You want to be starting over the least amount of times. Because mastery comes with sticking to something in the curve. It does. So what ends up happening if you're picking from superficial places, and you'll notice it because you're always starting over, always bouncing around. That's because your way of becoming a beneficial presence, or the thing that you're making your life's mission out of, was picked from a superficial place. So this one move takes care of both of these attributes. Picking this from a merged place will let you know, because it's in accordance with the laws of the universe, that you're going to get there. That takes care of your positive mental attitude. And then the grit the ability to stick with it long after everybody else would have given up. That comes from picking it from the same place too. Because when you picked it, you knew it was the right thing. So I've been a student of this thing my whole life about not quitting. And I'll go through a ton of things that almost everybody else would quit, but I just keep going through. And that's what's allowed me to have the success that it took to start this little business, the Rythmia Life Advancement Center. And I'm going to tell you that in your daily life, the greatest thing to have is that grit. So that grit, another way to bind yourself to grit is to make certain non-cancelable promises to yourself that I'm going to do this and I'm not going to cancel that agreement. And that's all done in this book, this little book called Truthonomics. It shows you how to make these agreements with yourself and then how to honor those agreements. And there's just a few agreements. It's not a hard thing. It's a daily practice. It's a little bit of exercise. It's some meditation and prayer, and goal setting and writing things down, and then signing of an agreement with you, tithing. There's just parts of it that have to happen. And I suggest you get this book and take a look at it for yourselves. This is the book that how Rythmia got here. And when I tell you this, I'm going to tell you that so many people come here from all over the world to this little dot in the map in Costa Rica to have this happen, to have this thing happen in their lives. And every week that I get to see it, it's a miracle. It's a true miracle. And I'm going to ask you that if you feel, if your soul feels that this is the right time to either come here or revisit, please come back. There are big things in the works at Rythmia right now. Some real big news items that are coming super shortly that are all good. Yeah, but Rythmia is on a path. So please get here now. Come down. And the thing is, I tell this to people all the time. The best time to have this thing happen is yesterday. The best time to have a soul merger is right now, because the rest of your life, we keep a lot of data on the people that come here. Though their life after they have this happen changes dramatically. That changes dramatically. It is a life-changing event. So you want to do that one sooner rather than later. And we get people here from all ages, from as young as 18 to as old as 86, have been through this program and had the same thing happen. So please, whatever you're doing, if you feel stuck, if you feel like you're not getting anywhere in life, if you feel like you don't have a purpose, if you just feel like it's so hopeless because of the status of the world, the shape the world is in, and then the economy, come here and get realigned and have this happen. What I can assure you is anything that is stopping you from becoming what you want to be is within you. It's not outside of you. And because it's within you, it's easily rectified. Come to Rythmia and have this thing happen.